So the countdown is on to this year's Academy Awards. Oscar nominations were released this morning. So our movie guy and Suncoast View producer, Matthew Lydell, is in to kind of give us the lowdown on some people who got snubbed, maybe, and some people who did really well. Some films racking up the list.
Yeah, so we got very close to another record, or tying with the record of 14 nominations, and but we didn't quite get there. I think 14 nominations is Titanic and La La Land and I think one other movie in the past.
So what got 14 nominations this year?
So 13 nominations went to Shape of Water.
Ah, that's the one you said was good.
It's really good. That is my favorite movie of last year.
It sounds weird on paper.
And it is.
Okay.
It's not any
okay,
less
right?
weird. Yeah. It's but what's just so weird is it doesn't immediately strike me that's something that everyone's gonna love, or that even that everyone in the Academy was gonna love to begin with. Because you look at the list, Shape of Water has 13 nominations. We have Dunkirk, which seems a little more in line with 8, and then 3 Billboards, which has been getting a lot of attention, has 7 nominations. But when you think about Shape of Water, has a lot of nominations for art direction, for editing, for original screenplay, and things like that.
And you say it's weird. Give us a little synopsis of the story and what makes it a little different.
I guess it's the best way to describe it is like an adult-oriented Beauty and the Beast. Sally Hawkins plays a janitor who works in a government facility and discovers that they are housing this sort of man-fish creature in there.
So there's a fantasy element.
There's a fantasy element to
it. From the 80s.
A bit, yeah, and it looks a lot like that. And it's sort of a romance movie. It also has like elements of like Cold War era kind of espionage stuff going on.
Wow. So she falls in love with the monster being hidden in the building.
Yes, she does.
Okay, so leading nominations we've been through. Let's go through the big important categories. Best actor?
Best, well, we're going to start with Best Actress,
first, okay.
Because I feel like this is not only one of the more interesting ones, I think it's more interesting than Best Actor, but it also has, I think it's pretty much locked in, is Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards. She's really good in this movie. I think she's one of the best parts about this movie, and she's been sweeping everywhere, taking awards for this. So I just can't imagine it being anyone besides her. There are a couple other options in terms of, there is Sally Hawkins from Shape of Water, which specifically for her, she plays a mute in the movie. So all of her—
That's got to be hard.
So her whole performance is through sign language or just through facial expression.
That's impressive.
And it's not ridiculous or it's not goofy or anything. It's very genuine and it's really stunning the way she does it. There's also Meryl Streep in The Post, which I just saw over the weekend. She's great.
I know.
Yeah, which is tough. And then Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird, who's the lead in that.
It's a big list.
And sometimes the underdog can come up and surprise you.
Yeah, and because Saoirse Ronan won for Best Actress in a Comedy Musical at the Golden Globes, but then Frances McDormand got for Best Drama.
And it's not separated.
And it's not separated here in the Academy Awards. So that kind of creates an issue there.
Wow.
And then for actor, I feel like it's a little less interesting in terms of great performances. But I think there's one that is pretty much a lock as well, and it's Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, where he plays Winston Churchill. I also saw this over the weekend, and I think the movie itself is pretty average in terms of a biopic. Not a ton of surprises, except for him. I think he's great in it. I think he's one of the standouts of the movie for certain. And
He
just
doesn't
kind of
even
thinking,
look like himself.
yeah, and you know what? He's always talked about in terms of, you know, sinking into his role and maybe to some ridiculous extents that people talk about him. And when I first saw how like different he looked, it was like, is he going to win just because he looks different? But no, he's really good in it, on top of great makeup and, you know, great costume design and all of that.
Who is he up against?
He is up against Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread.
I thought he would win.
So the thing is, this is supposedly his last performance in this movie, and I have not had a chance to see it because it's not playing anywhere nearby from what I can tell. But I kind of imagine in the same way that Gary Oldman has never won before, and they kind of would be like, well, let's give it to him this time. Daniel Day-Lewis, this is his, you know, supposed last chance to kind of get at this. And then I have not seen Call Me By Your Name yet, but I know Timothy Chalamet, I think it's pronounced, has been getting a lot of buzz for that, and that movie was incredibly well reviewed, so I need to get a chance to see that soon.
Okay.
And then we go into director, which I think is another win for Shape of Water, because Guillermo del Toro won at the Golden Globes for Best Director, and this feels like a long time coming for him. He has sort of been I don't want to say cult director because he's had big hits, but maybe he hasn't gotten the mainstream recognition amongst people outside of the movie industry that he frankly deserves.
You mentioned loving his work in the past.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his, and I was interested to see how this was going to turn out, and the fact that this is leading the nominations is like completely blowing me away.
Wow. Tell us the two people that he's up against.
The two people he's up against, I think Greta Gerwig has a big chance for Lady Bird.
Director.
I think so, yeah.
Lady.
I think she has a big chance because of that, but also because considering how that movie doesn't have, you know, a lot of crazy special effects, it doesn't have like this kind of monster thing like Shape of Water might have, it doesn't have like the war scenes that Dunkirk may have, which I also think Nolan has a chance. But I think it's kind of time to recognize that the best movie and the best director doesn't have to be the flashiest. Like she really trims that movie down, and she wrote and directed it on top of that. And just that is just like a quick 90-minute, just like everything about it is just like, yep, that's perfect, that's perfect. So I think she should be recognized absolutely for, you know, pulling that off as well as she did.
All right, and take us through Best Picture quickly.
I think at this rate, Shape of Water is Best Picture. The only thing that could take it away from it is Three Billboards for sure, which they've both been getting attention. Three Billboards won Best Ensemble at the Screen Actors Guild on Sunday night, whereas I think Shape of Water also won Best Picture at like the Producers Guild the same night. So those are like kind of pitted against each other. I think Lady Bird, The Post, and Dunkirk are the other options.
A lot of the same titles we're hearing over and over again.
All right, and we're hoping for a good, exciting show to keep us all entertained. Thank you, Matthew. Great to hear your movie opinions. And of course, we are anxiously awaiting the Academy Awards. They will be right here on ABC7. They are coming up a little later this year because of the Winter Olympics. Sunday, March 4th, and that broadcast starts at 8 p.m. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. All right, coming up next, we've got some good news from Goodwill. Stay with us.